We're doing this again. Oof. Okay. There you go. Oh, okay. Hopefully you don't see a lot of my belly. All right. Hey everyone. Welcome back to Couch Conversations with Sasha Love. I'm your host, Sasha Love, and today we're going to have a conversation about managing expectations. So for those of you who may not already know, I also have a podcast, which is basically an extension of the topics we talk about here on YouTube. You can find it both on Spotify and Anchor, and the title of the podcast is Couch Conversations with Sasha Love. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Pop your melanin, girlfriend. Pop your melanin. Pop your melanin, girlfriend. Pop your melanin. Girl, you black. And you beautiful. Girl, you black. And you beautiful.
Set realistic expectations. Or at least, that's probably the narrative we've heard at some point in our lives when it comes to our dreams, our goals, ourselves. Somewhere along the lines, we've learned to internalize the idea of setting realistic expectations. But what are expectations? Expectations are essentially our attempt to predict what can happen, or what would happen, or what could happen, or maybe what should happen. It's our perception of how something should turn out, how someone should behave, what someone should say, how we should or shouldn't do something. Expectations. They differ from person to person, differ from when you were a child versus where you are now versus where you will be in 10, 20, 30 years. Expectations. They change with time between people from moment to moment. So what does it mean to manage them? Well, to know whether or not an expectation is real versus unreal, it's kind of hard to break down in just one simple short video. But what I really wanted to focus on is unrealistic expectations. Now, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big. There's nothing wrong with having this idea of what things can be or should be in the future for you. But I think sometimes we allow unrealistic expectations to limit us, which almost seems counterintuitive. So we have this high, lofty goal or dream or something that we want to get or get to. And it's unrealistic for our particular circumstance. But yet, because we want it so bad, we limit ourselves to following what we expect we should be following. We expect to get everything right. We expect for everything to follow a stepwise motion to get to that goal, to get to that dream, to get that spouse, to get that house. We expect everything to kind of fall into plan. We expect opportunities to open for us at every turn. We expect people to be open to our ideas, to accept our ideas, to be as invested in our goals and dreams as we are. Regardless of what comes to mind when you think of expectations and those that are unrealistic, it's important for us to reflect on why we have these expectations in the first place. And we also need to evaluate how attached are we to these expectations. Again, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big. But sometimes we need to allow ourselves some space to allow that dream to change as we get older, as our circumstances look different. And the change doesn't necessarily mean we're settling or we're scaling that dream back because of fear. Not at all. Maybe we're changing it so that it's even bigger than what we thought possible. Maybe we're changing that dream to be in line to what God wanted, which is beyond our expectation, beyond our wildest imagination. Maybe we're changing that dream towards something that's more in line with our purpose. Regardless of what that change looks like, sometimes, as uncomfortable as it may be, we may need to let go of the unrealistic expectation and be okay with that dream changing. And also, in line with unrealistic expectations, being okay with our journey looking different than what we expect it to be. In other words, let's use going to medicine as an example. Traditionally, at least in the United States, you go to high school, you go to undergrad, you take your prerequisite courses, you apply to medical school, you get into medical school, you get your residency, you can do a fellowship or another residency if you'd like, and then you train, then you finish your training, and then you become an attending physician, which is what most people think about when they think of a doctor, an attending physician who's completed all of the schooling, all of the training, and they're able to independently function and work, taking care of patients. So a lot of people, they dream of being a doctor. And again, there's nothing unrealistic about that. It's good to dream big. But let's use that, we'll stick with that example for now, just to kind of facilitate this idea. So they have this expectation that their journey is going to look just as I described it. But then hiccups come along the way. They don't get into the undergrad school they wanted. They have to apply to medical school twice, maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times, because they didn't get in the first few times. Then they try to match, and they have to match once, match twice, match 3 times. Maybe they failed a test along the way. Maybe they failed some courses. Maybe they experienced some significant life-changing events that they had to deal with and take some time away from their journey, from their schooling. One person in this journey facing all of these challenges may say, you know what? I'm open to changing my dream, and instead of going into medicine, I actually want to go into social work. I want to be a mentor. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a counselor, a therapist. I want to run a non-for-profit. Another person who faced these challenges say, you know what? My dream is still to be a doctor, but my journey is going to look different. Let me try going to a Caribbean school instead. Let me try to apply to different programs, maybe family medicine and pediatrics. Let me try to see if I can get more rotations in locations I want to work in, to see if I can get my way into those programs, or see if I can show my face more. That way I'm more familiar to these programs. And yet another person can say, you know what? They'll look at all these challenges, they'll look at their dream and say, you know what? I actually want to go in a totally different direction. I want to own a Fortune 500 company. I hope I said that right. Or I want to start my own major company and build financial freedom and independence for my community and my people. So in that example, there were challenges along the way, as I described: failed tests, not getting into the schools you wanted, not getting into the residency. There were hiccups along the way. And for one person, they allowed the dream to change and also adjusted their way to get to their dream. While the second person said, you know what, medicine is still for me, but it's going to look different. And this is how I'm going to adjust. And the third person said, you know what, this is not for me. My dream is different. My dream is going to be bigger for my life. So where am I going with all of this? There's nothing wrong with dreaming big. And in each of these examples, it's a big dream to be a doctor. But it's okay if your big dream changes over time. It's not unrealistic to dream big. But I challenge you to take a closer look at some of the expectations you have of yourself, some of the expectations you have of your dream, to determine whether or not you're allowing yourself grace and room to change that dream, allow that dream to change, or if you are allowing yourself some grace to see how your approach to that dream, your journey towards that dream, can change and look different. What do you think? What are your thoughts? What are some unrealistic expectations you have towards some of your big dreams and goals? How do you manage them? Are you giving yourself the grace and the space to allow those dreams to change and to allow your journey to look different than what you thought it would be? Or are you staying limited and allowing unrealistic expectations for your life to keep you limited and trapped? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. Feel free to include them below, or you can message me via email or via my Instagram handle, both in the description. I always love talking to you guys, and if you find these videos helpful, please feel free to like and subscribe and share them with someone who would also find them helpful. And as always, until next time, take care. Okay, I can't see the time.